Ugh, the internet was right and I was wrong. What's up, YouTube? Josh of all trades, and today we're talking Westworld Episode 7, Trompe L'Oeil. Now, it is only appropriate that we start talking this episode with the Bernard Ford story because I did not see it coming. And I heard again and again and again that Bernard was going to be a host, but I don't know why. I couldn't just grasp it. Y'all know I really tried to deny it. I felt personally vested in Bernard as a character, and as things went along, I was concerned about his relationship with Teresa and his memories with his son and whoever he was talking to on the phone outside of Westworld. I felt so invested in Bernard. But now all that's down the drain. But it made for some interesting insights. We found out that Bernard is actually Dr. Ford's host, which was kind of insightful in a lot of ways, because now we understand that if Bernard knew that Teresa was smuggling data, then of course Dr. Ford knew that Teresa was smuggling data. And I'm not sure what type of collusion went on between Dr. Ford and the upper management at Westworld, but right when it looked like he was going to get chopped, he was able to take himself right off that chopping block and throw Teresa on there. Now, with Teresa's murder, it becomes apparent that Dr. Ford definitely is as crazy as we thought he was this whole time. He probably did have Arnold murdered, or he murdered Arnold, or something happened. I mean, at least Bernard wasn't there, but Ford was involved in Arnold's death. But all these circumstances with Bernard do leave me with at least one question. We saw the scene when Clementine was in the investigation booth and she's being harassed by this other host that was posing as an employee. Now that we understand that a host can definitely be programmed to act like a human and pose as one of the employees, what happened to Elsie a couple weeks ago? Because she was out there doing her research thing and she got taken. So was she a real person who was taken by Ford, or taken by someone else in the park, or taken by a host? Or was Elsie actually a host that, just like these other people in the park, were under Ford's control? Now, Maeve is still one of my favorite characters in this series, but her story is kind of on the decline for me. It was a very moving scene when Maeve is outside of the room when Clementine is being lobotomized, and we definitely felt a very real connection between these two characters the entire season. Now, Maeve is definitely planning to leave town. She's packing her bags, and she's trying to get out of Dodge. She's definitely coercing both Felix as well as the other lab tech guy into helping her, and for whatever reason, they're playing along with it. This actually kind of reminds me of the other HBO show I like to watch, The Night Of, when Nas is in prison and he ends up being coerced by some of the inmates in there, and it seems like they just get one little hook in him and then the favors have to keep coming. And that's what Maeve is doing to these guys. She understands that their job's on the line and they're vested in that, and they need to try to appease both sides. But it doesn't seem logical that these guys, as smart as they are going to continue to go along with Maeve, and the ante keeps going higher and higher, and this house of cards is going to fall apart at some point. Hey, it makes for interesting TV. I just think they should know better. So next up, we got to talk about William. Man, how did these internet guys get it right all the time? Because this is the other theory that I heard again and again and again that I didn't want to buy into, the whole two timeline thing, that William is the Man in Black. It all seems so simple now, it seems so right, but how did these guys call it? After the first episode, the writers on Refinery 29 were writing the articles oh, it seems obvious that there are two timelines and the Man in Black is a blah, 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 blah. How do they know this stuff? Anyhow, in this episode, William got intimate with Dolores, and he said some very interesting stuff about how Westworld doesn't bring out your lowest self, but actually brings out your true self, adding to that idea of self-discovery that Ford had talked about a while back. And then William goes on this rant with all this other Man in Black-esque stuff about discovering true experiences and real feelings and how this is the real world. And as of the end of this episode, William and Dolores have made their break with El Lazo. They're going their own way to play home together and live out the rest of their days in their quiet country lifestyle. But it also kind of begs the question that if things seem so pleasant with William right now, how would he transform to the Man in Black? So where is Westworld going from here? Since we're on the topic of William, I think he becomes so enamored with this lifestyle that he has with Dolores that he starts to forget that Westworld gives and Westworld takes away. Dolores has been drawing that gun around and she's been dodging bullets for a few episodes now, so I think that's all going to catch up to her. I think, sadly, Dolores will get murdered. They're deep in enemy territory, so maybe by the Ghost Nation. And William is going to be so involved in this that her death, even though he knows she's a host, is really going to distress him, and I think this is going to set in motion a chain of events that culminates with him becoming the Man in Black. Now, Maeve is going to continue conning the lab guys. She's going to keep working with them towards the goal of getting out of the park, but I don't think she's actually going to be able to accomplish that. I mean, Maeve's super smart and stuff now, but keep in mind, this whole park is dedicated to like keeping the guests safe and making money, and it seems apparent now that there's this big overarching theme of like some sort of test going on, but this is all within bounds, and they've taken a lot of steps to make sure that things don't get out of hand. I mean, even the decommissioned robots, they get lobotomized and then they get sent downstairs to wait in the little purgatory waiting room, and it just doesn't seem like there's any explanation as to how a decommissioned host would get out, much less a fully animated one. And then finally, Dr. Ford is gonna keep doing what Dr. Ford has done this whole time. He's gonna stay the god of Westworld, but he will continue building this new storyline that we're interested in, and there's gonna be some ties between the decision he makes to build that in, and then what happens to William, and the Man in Black and Teddy story. And then also, we're not fully ruling out that part of Arnold is still in the code or in the park somewhere making things happen. And we haven't seen that Dr. Ford definitely has a failsafe in place. So I think he doesn't have that developed yet, but in the next couple episodes, we're going to see him take those steps that in the event that he is forced to retire or that he does die at some point, he'll never be fully gone from Westworld. He's still going to be there pulling strings, being the god of his own world. That's everything I got out of Westworld episode 7. I really enjoyed watching this episode because I've been waiting for people to die off. Just like Game of Thrones, we're looking for these big major characters to get killed off, and we finally saw Teresa leave. Sadly, we saw Clementine leave. Maybe Elsie's gone, but we're seeing some major shakeups in the story, and that's a lot of fun to watch. I still think the quality's really high. I'm having a great time. And I'm interested to see what y'all thought of it. So tell me whatever you thought about episode 7. Leave a comment below. If you enjoyed my review, hit that thumbs up. And I will see y'all next week. Take care, y'all. Bye.